How do you go from a visionary genius to a cautionary tale? From fashion icon to global pariah? From presidential hopeful to industry exile? This is the story of Kanye West, and how one of the greatest musical minds of our time became one of its most polarizing figures. From the highest stage to the harshest spotlight, this is Legacy Lost. For more than a decade, Kanye West wasn't just a name, he was a movement. He entered the game in the early 2000s, first behind the boards producing hits for Jay-Z, then stepping into the spotlight with The College Dropout in 2004. Critics said he wasn't gangster enough, wasn't polished enough, wasn't marketable enough. But Kanye did what he always does. He ignored the noise and rewrote the rules. Before we go on, smash that like button and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more jaw-dropping Legacy Lost stories. The soulful samples, the pink polos, the vulnerability in his lyrics, it all felt revolutionary. He didn't just rap about money or status. He rapped about insecurities, religion, consumerism, his mother, his dreams, and it connected. The College Dropout won Best Rap Album at the Grammys and announced a new era in hip-hop. But Kanye never stayed still. Each album was a reinvention. Late Registration added lush orchestration. Graduation brought stadium anthems. And then came 808 and Heartbreak, cold, electronic, vulnerable, recorded after the death of his mother, Donda West, and the end of a major relationship. The industry didn't know what to make of it, but the public, they listened. And artists like Drake, The Weeknd, and Travis Scott were all influenced by it. Kanye was shaping not just hip-hop, but pop culture itself. But the same creative fire that fueled his genius also fueled his downfall.
But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
The 2009 MTV VMAs. Taylor Swift wins Best Female Video. She takes the mic. Kanye storms the stage. Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'ma let you finish. But Beyoncé had one of the best videos of all time. The crowd booed. Kanye shrugged. And the world took notice, not just of his music, but of his unpredictability. What followed was a roller coaster. One moment he was dropping My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, a critically acclaimed masterpiece many still call his magnum opus. The next, he was comparing himself to Walt Disney and Steve Jobs. He started calling himself Jesus and declared himself a god on record. And behind the scenes, his mental health was becoming harder to ignore. In interviews, he was rambling. In public, he was erratic. And yet, no matter what he said or did, the culture stayed locked in until it didn't. By the mid-2010s, Kanye wasn't just a musician, he was a full-blown mogul. He married Kim Kardashian, joined the most influential family in pop culture, and launched the Yeezy brand with Adidas, instantly selling out sneakers and redefining the streetwear game. He was a billionaire, a fashion icon, a pop culture juggernaut. But with every win came more volatility. He began veering harder into controversy, endorsing Donald Trump, wearing a MAGA hat, visiting the White House, and in 2018, telling the world, slavery for 400 years? That sounds like a choice. Even for Kanye, it crossed a line. Black fans who had once seen him as a voice of the culture were stunned. Outrage poured in from fans, peers, and journalists. Still, he kept pushing. He launched a Sunday service gospel series that many thought marked a new era. He released Jesus is King, a religious pivot that left fans divided. He even announced and ran a campaign for President of the United States in 2020. It was erratic, rambling. He held a bizarre rally wearing a bulletproof vest, cried on stage about nearly aborting his first child, and tweeted cryptic messages about Kim and Kris Jenner. The headlines were no longer about music, they were about breakdowns. Behind the scenes, Kanye was reportedly struggling with bipolar disorder. But instead of getting help, he leaned into the chaos. His marriage with Kim Kardashian collapsed. The two filed for divorce in 2021, sparking one of the most public celebrity breakups of the decade. And Kanye didn't take it quietly. He began attacking Kim's new boyfriend, comedian Pete Davidson, on social media. He posted erratic messages, graphic threats, and even released a music video depicting violence against a claymation version of Davidson. Public concern grew. Was this just Kanye being Kanye? Or was it something more serious, something darker? The music industry began distancing itself. Fashion brands paused collaborations, and yet, some fans still held on, clinging to the artist they once knew. Then came the collapse. In late 2022, Kanye went on a media spree, and what came out shocked even his most loyal defenders. He praised Adolf Hitler, denied the Holocaust, doubled down on anti-Semitic remarks across interviews and social media. The fallout was swift. Adidas dropped him, instantly wiping out nearly $1.5 billion from his net worth. Gap severed ties. Balenciaga cut him off. He was suspended from Twitter. Even longtime allies publicly condemned him. The man once seen as untouchable was now radioactive. And for the first time in his career, people weren't asking, what will Kanye do next? They were asking, can he come back from this? After the anti-Semitic meltdown, Kanye West's empire didn't just crack, it crumbled. He lost over $1 billion in a matter of days. He fell off Forbes' billionaire list. He went from the face of Adidas to completely erased. His Yeezy products pulled from shelves, contracts torn up, and collaborators fleeing in every direction. There was no PR cleanup, no carefully worded apology, just more unfiltered chaos. He posted a swastika inside a Star of David. He praised Hitler, again. He did an interview wearing a full ski mask, ranting about conspiracy theories so extreme that even far-right pundits tried to distance themselves. For decades, Kanye had lived on the edge of genius and madness. Now, many believed he had gone over the edge completely. But something strange happened. Even in the midst of this cultural freefall, some fans stayed. They defended him, argued that he was being silenced, or claimed it was all performance art. The free thinker label that Kanye once embraced was now being used to justify rhetoric that was getting him blacklisted across industries. But to many others, there was no gray area anymore. Kanye had gone too far. What's even more complicated is that the music never fully stopped. Despite everything, Donda 2 was released, though in an unorthodox way through a $200 stem player device that limited access and frustrated fans. He popped up at fashion events, quietly attended studio sessions, and continued to hint at unreleased albums. But the Kanye machine wasn't what it used to be. The partnerships were gone, the stadium tours, on ice, and the cultural relevance, rapidly fading. Then came the biggest shift. The world just stopped caring. Kanye wasn't canceled. He was muted. No more headlines, no more outrage, just silence. And for a man who had thrived on being the most talked about artist in the world, that silence was the loudest rejection of all. Still, there's a lingering question: can Kanye West come back? In the entertainment world, redemption arcs are real. We've seen celebrities fall, disappear, and return with a rebrand or a viral moment. But for Kanye, the damage wasn't just reputational, it was foundational. He burned bridges, insulted communities, and alienated the very audiences that once made him a global icon. But here's the paradox of Kanye West. He's still one of the greatest artists of his generation, still the mind behind The College Dropout, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and the Yeezy brand. The legacy is fractured, the empire is shaken, but the imprint will never be erased. Kanye West was once the heartbeat of a generation, a creative visionary who could bend sound, style, and conversation at will. But today, the man who once defined the culture finds himself orbiting it. In early 2023, Kanye quietly married Bianca Censori, an architectural designer at Yeezy. The marriage wasn't announced traditionally. There was no press release, no red carpet, no lavish ceremony, just speculation, followed by paparazzi photos, and then silence. A symbolic contrast to the man who once couldn't stop broadcasting his life. Their relationship raised eyebrows, not just because of the whirlwind secrecy, but because Bianca's public appearances grew more and more controlled. She began showing up in skin-tight, avant-garde outfits, often appearing as if she were wrapped in sheer body stockings or face coverings. Some observers began to question whether this was creative freedom or a disturbing extension of Kanye's need to control his environment, including the people in it. Meanwhile, Kanye's music all but disappeared. No new album, no scheduled tour, no rollout, just unfinished leaks and abandoned ideas. His once symphonic creative engine had gone quiet, replaced by erratic social media posts and cryptic statements. The artist who used to set the pace of the industry now seemed like he was chasing his own tail in real time. And yet, the impact remains. You can't walk through a mall, scroll through a playlist, or flip through fashion catalogs without seeing Kanye's fingerprints. He changed the sound of rap. He revolutionized sneaker culture. He blurred the lines between high fashion and streetwear. He pushed boundaries, sonically, visually, socially. But in pushing everything outward, Kanye imploded inward. As of now, Kanye West remains largely off the grid. He's still a billionaire, though much of that wealth is now privately held and no longer validated by corporate partnerships. Adidas cut ties, Balenciaga cut ties, creative collaborators went silent, and the public? Divided. Some still worship him, others refuse to acknowledge his name. So what happens when a genius refuses to be accountable? What happens when the same fire that fueled innovation also burns the bridges needed to survive in the public square? Kanye's story doesn't end with jail time. It doesn't end in total obscurity. But it also doesn't end with a clear redemption arc, at least not yet. It's a story still unfolding, but one thing is certain. He went from defining the culture to being exiled by it. Whether he stages a comeback or fades deeper into the margins, Kanye West is no longer just a music artist. He's a mirror, showing us the cost of unfiltered genius, the limits of celebrity immunity, and the razor-thin line between influence and implosion. Before you go, smash that like button and subscribe to Legacy Lost. These are the stories that define our era, and we've got more coming.